welcome to the Butter Dish Gals. And I am Coach Adek, and with me is, of course, our fabulous coach Cherish, wonderful coach Emily. And today we have Sally Bowers as our guest. We've invited Sally to the next guest because we love her very much, and we have followed her story and her progress from the start. She has been a member of the Steak and Butter Gang for some time now and has always been very active in the main group, the chats, and especially in the meetings. And now she's even part of the team as such an incredible moderator. And so now we would like to introduce Sally to the world and to show you why we love her so much. How are you, Sally?
Great. The ego.
Oh no, we love it that you're here. So we'll start with a question. We have lots of 10 questions today, and the first one is, how did you find the carnivore way of eating? How did you find it?
How did I find it? My son-in-law, Patrick, he introduced me to Dr. Berry, and I just started listening to a lot of his podcasts. And while listening to him, I learned about Nisha, his wife, and she had Hashimoto. And that's what I was trying to deal with at the time. It's like, I just wanted it gone. And I didn't, with this, I just didn't believe that I had to live with this for life. And the doctors were saying diet has nothing to do with it. Which it does, of course. It's what caused it, and it's what's making it go away. But I just wanted it gone. And through all the research and his, Dr. Berry, Dr. Sivis, so many more, they're all like, this doesn't have to be forever. These can be gone. So that's what got me going. And I kind of jumped in. Didn't know what I was doing, but I jumped in.
Did you just jump in all in?
I did. I can't moderate. I'm the worst kind of sugar addict, and I was telling Emily before that I used to live for months and months just on sugar. I didn't have any protein. I destroyed my body. So yeah, I can't have anything sweet. So it was all or nothing. But I also have that mindset, my therapist told me, and I have an addiction therapist. I had to get her because I wanted to be very specific with help.
I kind of resonate with that, Sally, because it's becoming towards fall. And yesterday I was in the store and I actually saw, Halloween stuff. And I remember when I was on just a standard way of eating or just, dieting and then not dieting, I would spend the entire month of October binging on Indian corn and candy corn.
The candy corn, heck yeah.
Like living on that sugar.
Me too.
Like, yeah.
Did you ever try it with peanuts, sweet, salty?
Yes. Probably done all the things with candy corn one can do. So I totally resonate with what you're saying. You can totally live on sugar for sure.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
No, I have a question about that Hashimoto's. When were you diagnosed, and how did you suspect it before you were diagnosed? Like, did you have overall feelings that made you think this is probably what I had, or did your diagnosis come out of the blue?
I knew when I'm trying to eat right, and it felt like I was fighting my body. And I talked to the doctor about this, and she did run blood work, but all it showed was the TSH was high. And that's when they immediately wanted to put me on levothyroxine. And I thought, oh, cool. It's like, put me on levo. It's going to make everything better. And I'm going to lose weight. That's all I knew. And it didn't. It made me crazy. I've never had menopausal symptoms. And I turned into an oven 24/7. And when I started to research it, I realized it was a hormone type thing. And I was like, well, oh, hell no. I said, I don't have a problem with that. So I stopped it. It was only like a couple of weeks and I stopped taking it. And then I really did a deep dive with it. And they said that just because your TSH is high, you don't necessarily need medicine. But if you have Hashimoto, it's like you have to do something because it'll destroy your thyroid. So I'm like, well, what's Hashimoto? So that's when I asked my doctor to run those tests. She did, and I didn't expect to have it, but I had it. My numbers were over 1,000. And There's supposed to be like one.
Yeah.
But I've talked to women that have over 10,000 and they got rid of all of them with carnivore. So I looked at this and then I started really diving in. It's like, how can I treat this naturally? How can I get rid of this? I'm like, I want to treat the cause. Nobody wants to treat the cause, you know? And so I talked to other women that had it and got rid of it. And it was all carnivore, pure carnivore, no dairy, because dairy will just kind of mess it up. It'll inhibit, you know, your progression, you know, your success. So that's when I kind of jumped in with this. I knew this is the way I needed to go, but I wasn't, I think, mentally not completely there because I was still just binging on sugar, you know. But when I got the diagnosis, it was like, I knew when I realized this is an autoimmune condition and I'm like, one can lead to another, can lead to another. And I was like, I knew people like that. And I was like, oh, hell no, I am not going down that road. So it was like, I think I took a year because I think it was in 2020, January, around there, where I was diagnosed and I had lost some weight. I had done, I think I was doing like keto or ketovore, and I had lost some weight. And then I think COVID hit. So it's like all that came back on and then some. And it just, I knew I had to do something because by the end of this, like right before, and I had to go back into the school system and I was terrified because of COVID and I was so inflamed. And I'm like, I could have gotten rid of this. I could have been going into the school system without the inflammation. And I was really scared because I have a lot of scar tissue in my lungs from when I was younger. And I just knew, I'm like, if I get that, I'm not going to survive this. And I mean, I know now, but hindsight, it's like it affects people different, but I was scared to death. But it didn't stop me. All I could think about was that next bite of sugar, you know, and I was so full of edema. My ankles were 3 times the size they are now. It was all around my lungs, my heart. I mean, I could barely go upstairs. I could barely breathe. And I knew this, but all I could think about was a bag of Cadbury eggs, you know, and then one day I was, because I stayed at my daughter's during COVID. I just stayed there so I could work remotely for school. And then right after that, I take care of Ruby. And it was at that point when I knew I'm having to go back into the school system. I got very emotional and I started thinking about Ruby and everything that she has survived, because like I had told you before, she was born under a pound. And I work with special needs. So I know what that can do to a child, you know, and she was thriving. I mean, she had so many things hit her that normally take a baby's life, and she survived. And I just kept thinking about her and thinking about that. And I'm like, I'm being selfish because if I want to live past the next year, I had to do something. And I didn't want to leave her. I didn't want to leave my kids. And so I was like, if she can do that, if she has got the will inside of her to do that, I can do this. And then I did. It was within a month, I think. So I had to go home, get ready for school. And I said, this is my last day. It was 2/1/21. And I said, this is it. This is, I'm done. And I have to go all in. And I did. And I made it. I think I went 7 months before I even saw Emily. And I saw Emily on Instagram, and her pictures, when I saw her body shape before and after, I was like, whoa. I said, that's my body shape. I said, and look where she is now. I was like, and it just made me realize, I went, this is possible. I mean, I knew I could get healthy, but it was like mind blowing when I had that moment. But at the same time, I mean, I had joined the challenges, and because it's been about a year now, and I wasn't 100% mentally there because of the addiction. And
Yeah.
I started allowing artificial sweeteners in.
Mm.
Pretty soon I was replacing everything with artificial sweeteners. And then this went on for a couple months, and then that led to sugar. And then there was a 2.5-month binge right before January of this year. And
Festive days, right? With the holidays.
yeah, holidays. Yeah, it's always about food. I had dropped 70 pounds, put back 28.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, through that, Adek was with me. She was so patient, so patient. And she was always right there. And I was so embarrassed because I'm like, I can't tell her what I'm doing. But she's not dumb. But I stuck there. She kind of helped me hang on. And I had started this contest at school, and it started on January 2nd. And it was, let's get ready for summer. And I went, I'm going to look like an idiot if I don't have my head in the game. Mm-hmm. And so January 2nd of this year, I just jumped all in. But at the time it was like, I knew I couldn't have anything sweet, yes. not real, not fruit, no. Not absolutely anything. And that was a game changer.
Yes.
It just changed absolutely everything. And I jumped into the challenges. I would speak at the challenges. I just kept going. I was on a very strict, I had to control it, at the time. And I was very strict. I followed the schedule, and everything changed. And my whole mindset. I mean, my body felt different. I think I was still eating cheddar at the time because according to the food sensitivity test, I had zero sensitivity to cheddar, but I was still struggling. It felt like I'm doing all this, but I'm losing 5 pounds a month. What the heck? And in May, I gave up cheddar, and it changed everything. I dropped 14 pounds that month. And
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And within 2 weeks of stopping the cheddar, I was off my CPAP. So it was like, whoa. And I used to feel really thick in the middle, and that was gone. All of a sudden I felt that hollow feel in your belly that you get. And I'm like, whoa, I haven't touched cheddar since. I don't need it.
So you cut that out right away as well, all over again.
Yeah. That's kind of the pattern. The pattern is when you learn something, you figure out this is not for me, and your health is worth it. Your fight is so strong. Your why is so strong. This is the pattern that I see over and over, that it's not worth it. Why are we flirting with poison? For you, cheddar is going to poison your journey and going to get you in a bad spot. And we often are, kind of called out as being hardcore when we put this out there about the sweetener. And so I just really appreciate your feedback about that so many people have a night and day transformation when they take the sweetener out. And so I'm just hearing like transformation after transformation after transformation from choosing you first. So it's so encouraging to hear.
Yeah. And you have to. I mean, when I was making that decision, thinking about Ruby, it was like, I needed to choose to truly live. I was just existing. That's all I was doing, and existing just for the next bite of sugar. And it controlled everything about me. It controlled my mind and everything I did. And that has gone. I mean, the binging is gone. I mean, the freedom from all of that, because that is mental stress, let me tell you. But even like in the beginning, like when this first started, those first few months, there was one huge thing that I was severely hypokalemic, and that is super low potassium. And I had to take
I know. I'm not familiar with that. So low potassium is what you're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Dangerously low potassium.
Okay.
And I had no symptoms. I didn't know. I just took a blood test, as part of the regular work. And they called me up within an hour. Like, how's your heart? You okay? I'm like, I'm fine. but they put me on 7,500 milligrams of potassium a day just to keep the level normal. That is a lot.
That's a lot.
Did you take it orally? I'm just curious.
Oh,
I used to fuss around with potassium, and boy, if you get too much, look out. It is not fun.
It's dangerous to just.
Dangerous. So dangerous.
Well, my daughter, that stuff's going to kill you because there was so much of it. And at the time, you had to split it up. So I had it split in 2 doses. So I couldn't fast all that much. So when I started this, like, I knew I needed to fast because that I need to heal on a cellular level. I needed to heal my gut. I needed to heal my thyroid, heal everything. And so, because my liver and kidney numbers were all way off and no one said a word. No one. So I fasted. I could do 18 hours and then I take my first dose of potassium. 6 hours later, another dose of potassium, because you have to take it with food. Otherwise you're going to be, thrown up. So I did this. And then I think it was within 3 months, I remember calling the doctor. I said, something's wrong. I said, I don't know how. I said, but I think the potassium's too high. I said, because I feel phenomenal while I'm fasting. And as soon as I put that in my body, I don't feel right. And she's like, okay. So we dropped it 1 pill. And I says, well, check back in a month. Well, I didn't make it a week. And I called her again and I said, I think it's still too high. Dropped it, another pill. So we did this for 4 or 5 weeks. And at the end of it, once I got down to where I can only do it in 1 dose, like half the amount in 1 dose, I was doing 24-hour fasts. And I would do my blood work, fasted 24 hours, and my potassium level was normal.
Nice.
And so like, okay. So then we dropped it until there was no more. I did a 72-hour fast, did my blood work, 72 hours fasted, and my potassium was normal.
Oh, and your body was figuring it out.
Yeah. And I remember when I posted that, my daughter was like jumping for joy. She was like, I'm so proud of you. And that meant everything, because they used to look at me when I was starting this, like, yeah, you've said this 2 million times. Yeah, you're going to start. Okay. And only meat. Yeah, we'll see. So I knew I had to prove myself. But when that happened and her response, it was like, wow, okay. I said, she's proud of me.
Oh, goodness.
Like, it meant everything. It meant everything. And I knew at that point, I says, I need to do this for me, for her, for Ruby, all my kids. And I said, I need to do this. And Ruby's
your granddaughter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very sweet. Very nice.
So, that was just the beginning. My liver and kidney numbers all went normal. Everything went normal within months. So I knew that the fatty liver, I'm like, it's on its way out or gone. By now it's gone.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. The insulin resistance gone, because my A1C went to 4 and
Nice. Dang.
What was the other one? Not A1C. I don't know. I don't remember the numbers.
Did they do your fasted insulin?
Yeah.
And the thyroid numbers took a little longer.
Yeah.
And what people are going to understand with thyroid is when you're doing carnivore, those numbers are not the same as when, like, you're eating a standard American diet. Your TSH will be lower. It needs to be. It, like, T3 will be lower, and mine is lower. But it needs to be, because it's like your thyroid doesn't have to work as hard processing all those carbs. So, T3 is up. It's better than it was before, but it's in a good range. And if you look at the standard numbers, they're going to look and go, oh yeah, no, that's too low. And it's like, but it's really not. It's like, if you give me carbs, that'll shoot through the roof. I don't need that. You do need more T3 if you're processing carbs. And so where we don't, it can be lower. So the hypothyroid is gone, but the Hashimoto antibodies are almost gone. Those are down. They're down by 2/3. So yeah. So I haven't checked them though. They could be gone now. I haven't checked. I told my doctor, so I'll wait 6 months this time. I made her crazy with blood tests.
I know we know that you love the numbers, Sally.
I am a number girl. Yeah. And she did not like running all these tests because she didn't know what they meant. You know, she's just like,
yeah, no kidding. You're making it look bad. No.
Well, I think she's learning in the process of this, because now the endo says, well, I'm going to run TSH and T4. I says, I need to know what my reverse T3 is because it can be high. And he says, what? He says, reverse T3 is an inactive protein. You don't need that. And I went, it's an inactive protein that blocks the active protein that you do need. And he goes, where are you getting all this? I didn't know all this. He's like,
how are you not getting all of it?
Yeah, this was the
right.
endocrinologist.
He's like, no, I don't think this is going to work. I want you think.
So do you have a different endocrinologist?
Oh, no, I don't.
She's your regular doctor.
Right. I went back to my doctor and I said, look, I'm in this group. There's a functional medicine type person here. There's coaches. It's a health group. I said, I just need you to work with me. And she's like, okay. And so she'll run the blood work that I want. And it's a lot more than TSH and T4 because you need, T3 and the free T3 and free T4 and the reverse T3 and all that. So she runs them. We were doing them every 3 months. She has watched the weight loss. She hasn't, I'm 105 pounds now, but down, but she hasn't seen that. I think she saw me when I was 80 pounds down. So I haven't seen her since, she hasn't seen it all. And, but she saw the weight loss. She saw all the numbers go into normal range. And she's like, okay. She goes, I will run whatever tests you want. She goes, just don't ask me to interpret them. I said, I don't need to. I said,
bring him to coach.
I like that.
Bring him to our group.
Talk
about him on a Sunday call when we can all learn so much. So that's great.
But
that's wonderful.
There's so many things when people are talking, and they're saying, oh, my floaters are gone. I went, oh my God, I don't have the floaters anymore.
I know, right?
And dry eye, dry mouth, which was severe. And I believe that's another autoimmune condition too. Sjogren's or something like that.
Oh, right.
But that's gone. And my dentist's like, you don't have to worry about dry mouth. Hey, plenty of saliva. But the sleep apnea.
What else? As a non-scale victories there.
Yeah. And someone mentioned like a tumor or something in their wrist. And I looked down and I went, oh my God, because I used to have this bump here. And it's, it's just a fatty tumor thing. And it's, harmless. And they said, unless it affects your hand or something, they says, we can just leave it. It's gone. I mean, it's just not there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So every time someone brings something up that I had forgotten about, or just maybe wasn't on top of my list to think about, I add it to my thing when I'm, oh, we're down 100 pounds. Let's add these few extra things that have healed, so.
Yeah, we do learn from each other. And because we always think that what we have is very normal. We don't realize that they shouldn't be there. Like,
how many items are on your list? You have a running list.
Lord.
How many are on there?
How many?
Yeah. Did you have like a non-scale victory list? Like, do you just keep track and just add to it?
19 or 20.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Esophagitis. I didn't even know what that was. I had to look it
up. Say that
up.
one more time.
Yeah. Say that again.
Eosinophilic esophagitis.
And I know about that one.
You get this bubble here.
Yeah. A lot of
now, I suffered horribly with that. And if I eat too quick, if I eat something dry, it was horrific. And I'd be stopping in the middle of meals and, throwing up.
You told me it was the chicken. You had a specific
chicken specifically would do it. Bread would do it. And of course, I'm sensitive to those things. That's why when I hear people talk about like the throat and stuff, I'm like, okay, hold on. Where's the problem? Because that bubble, my doctor had said, he says, oh, that's acid reflux type of thing. I went, oh. So he put me on Prevacid and it did take care of it. So I was like, okay, so I'm on Prevacid for 5 or 6 years, which destroys your gut. It destroys, your stomach acid and all that. So I got off it and I've been off it for quite a while now, but I realized I'm like, this isn't happening. This
Yeah.
isn't happening anymore. I mean, once in a blue moon, if I'm stressed and I'm eating too quickly, it's like all of a sudden I'll feel the feeling and I just stop and allow the feeling to pass. But for the most part, I mean, this was something that was a daily occurrence.
Yep.
And it's just not there. So that's a huge win.
You got a lot of wins.
So
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
many. Your transformation. I have a oddball question I'm going to throw out at you. I was curious about like your fat, like if you are high fat carnivore and what your food looks like.
I am now.
Oh,
good.
Now, well, I never, monitored meat to fat ratio. I just
right.
eat till I'm full. And it pretty much had stopped my hair loss. I had good Lord, it was coming out by the handful, and the skin that dried up like a prune. That stuff had kind of gone away, which to the point which I thought it was gone. And then I remember Adek talking to me about increasing fat. And I'm like, yeah, but if I want my body to burn the fat, if I put in enough fat, it's not going to burn the fat off my body. And she goes,
Right.
no. She goes, you're in the calorie out mindset. And I was like, but this isn't calories. I wasn't getting it. And she explained it in such a way. She goes, your body's holding on to the toxins in your fat cells, and it's not going to let them go until it gets good fat and enough of it. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to trust. I didn't know. I was like,
Nice.
scary. And I upped the fat. I started eating like 3-4 tablespoons of butter a day. Within 2 weeks, there was no hair coming out in the shower, not even 3 strands. It was just none. And I went, whoa. I'm like, okay, so this is real. My body needs more fat, because otherwise, nothing would have changed. And my skin feels great now. I never needed lotion my whole life until that hit. But now it's like, and I think it's part of Hashimoto. It's stuff that happens with Hashimoto.
Yep.
And recently in some calls, the women were talking about, down below, everything being really dry down there. And I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the doctor. I'm like, I'm not dating anyone. I haven't for 14 years. So it didn't really matter. But I'm like, but one day I kind of hope to. And I says, nothing's going to happen down there. And it's gone. It's
nice.
It's really, it's fine now. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
But it's 500% better than it was.
Yes.
And I can only imagine it's going to get even better.
I just feel like every cell in the body is getting the proper fat and the nourishment with its animal fat that it needs. And it just shows up everywhere in every organ, in every system. And that's such an issue, as you are 59, right? So you've been through some chapters and some decades and some seasons, and we're tend to be in the late 40s, early 50s kind of a range. And so, we've just got all these things that are kind of changing our bodies. And so just to make this shift with the high fat as a community, we're seeing so many people benefiting from that. We're not saying every single person has to, but it's something worth to try and to see if part of this can help all of these hormonal transitions that we go through. Because it's so good.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for you.
Coach Jane is poof. It's like she's a huge example of what.
Yeah, she's the butter babe of all of us.
Yeah.
She went all in. That was great.
Yeah,
I love it.
A big block of butter daily. I'm not even that high.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So cool.
we're quite crazy. Cherish and I talked about this as well. Is it that simple? Just adding a block of butter, and then everything starts to lubricate and everything.
Right.
Yep. My God. So
But
cool.
hair loss is such a huge issue for women, and because, we used to be, we were in the last 10 years, fasting has gotten so popular. And I think that done incorrectly, that fasting can be such a detriment to women. And, we already came from the low fat decades. So we already came from just a horrible depletion of restriction. And then we went into a different phase where it was more keto fasting, but it still wasn't quite right. We still weren't getting the right nourishment. And still as a whole, I think women in our culture, we're so susceptible to tanking thyroid, to having hormonal issues. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, the fasting journey, and it before fasting and after fasting. How's that been?
Yeah, the difference.
Well, the fasting was equally as important for my healing as carnivore. It had to be both. And I mean, they tell you don't fast with thyroid issues, don't fast if you're, especially if you're low potassium. And I was like, well, the only way I'm healing any of this on a cellular level is by fasting. And so, and by doing it through you guys, through steak and butter, it's like, and the priming, you're doing it nourished. And so I never, fasting didn't affect my hair loss. That actually helped.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, it actually helped stop it. But I was going somewhere with that and I completely forgot. Oh, I noticed this past week I've had hair loss in the shower, and I know it every time I go out to eat at this seed oil when they're cooking the meat, whatnot. And I just had, 10 days vacation, and it was mostly eating out. And so I knew it's very unnerving when it starts coming out in your hand again, but I knew it was going to take a couple weeks for that to stop again. But every time I eat out. So I tend not to, for the most part, except going to a Brazilian steakhouse.
But they can't feed us well. They can't feed us carnivores how we deserve to be fed and need to be fed. It's kind of a do-it-yourself for the most part. It's nice to go out and celebrate, but really, truly, our best health is going to come when we know exactly what's going in.
Yeah. I'm curious. You mentioned community, so I'm curious about what do you feel the benefits of having a community are?
Well, you don't feel alone.
Yeah.
You don't. I didn't know I needed it until I was in it. And it's funny because my therapist kept saying, you need to find a group. I'm like, no, I don't need a group. I don't need a group. I do everything myself, I just kind of seclude myself. But that was part of, being overweight, I don't want people to see me,
Right. What do you think we're hiding from?
But when I got in this community, there is nothing like it anywhere. I mean, I'm still in some Facebook groups and there's so much drama that they rip you to shreds if things aren't perfect or their way. And it's not nice sometimes. And this community, it doesn't do that. It just, everyone is in the same mindset. They're in there for healing. I mean, they're in there for weight loss too. That gets kind of confused. I was confused about it too, but I had to learn that healing had to happen first. And then the weight will start coming off. Yeah. And if you don't have that kind of patience, or you're constantly looking for loopholes, it's not going to work. It's like, you have to understand how the body works. But the community it's everything. And then being in the meetings, it keeps you focused. And at first it was like, this is too time consuming. And be like, and that's like, no, it's not. Because if I didn't go to a meeting, then it was like, but I needed to be there, because you feel like you're missing something. You're missing, and it's not the information that you're missing. It's the feeling of being part of something that's even bigger than yourself. And
I love that.
Yeah, our community is just second to none. There is nothing else like it. And I know other people have groups and stuff, but I mean, what is it? $30 a month. And it's, you get all you guys coaching, all these Zoom calls. It was like 9+ Zoom calls a week, all the guest speakers. Yeah. And it's like, you can't get that anywhere. And the support.
Deeper than a cup of coffee.
Yeah. The support's amazing, and you get answers. I used to go, I think Dr. Berry's call sometimes, and I would pay the Patreon thing because I needed a question answered, but that's how it got answered. And yeah, you did. And then I come to your group and it's like, oh, this is like all inclusive. And you have all of you all of your different backgrounds and opinions and knowledge from what you've experienced and what you've learned. And it is that is priceless. And so we just, pass it on.
Absolutely. As you have become such a leader yourself and are encouraged so many people in the chat box, in the message boards, so you are actually a crucial component to our sense of community, Sally. We just think the world of you. We all do. We're so appreciative of the healing that your message brings to all of us. So you are changing lives right along. We all are. We're all doing this together.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So given that, what's one thing you wish you knew about carnivore before you started that now that you've learned?
I truly understood it was possible to heal on this level.
Wow.
I went into it, I had hope, but I wish I truly knew what I know now about it, because anything is possible now.
Wow, that's incredible. That's an incredible statement.
Well said, yeah.
So one final question, actually two final questions. First, what brings you joy? I know Ruby's going to be like number one. I know that.
Yeah.
So in addition to Ruby, what else brings you joy?
Well, it's time with my family. And I could try, and I thought about this question and I tried to think of a million different things, and it all comes down to the time with my kids and my granddaughter, of course. There's nothing I want more in my life. Just that. I mean, one day hope to meet a guy. It'd have to be carnivore, but that's like on the back burner. If it happens, it happens. And when it does, it does. But my joy comes from my kids, my family, my mom, just even my brother. But I never get to see him, but you know what I mean? It's the connection with my family.
So you guys heard it here first. If there's a good carnivore single guy, Sally's your gal.
If you qualify, you'll need to be vetted by us.
Yeah. You need to be vetted.
Coaches.
Got to prioritize family, but yeah.
And meat.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to have to be a carnivore because I can't have the carbs in the house.
Exactly.
I could vegetables I could handle. I'm not going to eat them, but someone else could have them. But beyond that, no can do.
So to wrap things up, if there were 3 famous people you could invite to dinner, which 3 would those be?
Back and forth with this question. It's like, I want the whole steak and butter gang over here for a great big barbecue. I know.
Very, very sweet.
I'm like, but I'm like, that's possible. That's going to happen one day.
Well, you're organizing a meetup. Do you want to talk about that real quick before you answer? Do you want to tell us about
the New England meetup?
Yes.
That's September 17th in Leominster, Massachusetts. That's going to be incredible. And it's growing by the day. So I'm very, very happy and grateful for that. But we're eating at a Brazilian steakhouse, and it's all you can eat meat, their rodizio. If you've never had Brazilian, you love it. It's one price, $40. It's going to cover the meal, the tip, and we have a ton of giveaways from all different company, Carnivore Crisp, Carnivore Snacks, Elementi, Pork King Good. Oh, good Lord, I'm going to be in trouble for forgetting one.
We'll be sure to put your information in the show notes so that people can find out all the fine folks that donated to your meetup. But so how about those 3 people?
Okay. Jesus is one, because I got a lot of questions.
Can we all take a number? Because I think we all got a lot of questions.
Is he carnivore? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions. And then Lauren Graham and Scott Patterson, they are Luke and Lorelei of Gilmore Girls. And anyone that knows me knows my absolute love for Gilmore Girls. Nice. And I have watched all 7 seasons, and they are 22 episodes a season. About 20 plus times, right straight through.
Wow.
Well,
you go to their meetup every year, don't you? When they
yeah, they do. They do a fan fest.
A fan fest.
Oh, wow.
You
That's
meet them
cool.
specifically? You get to hang out with them?
Oh, the one this year is incredible. They have even more, almost double the amount of people. It's like this producers, some of the stars on the show, the writers, but yeah, it's incredible. And what's really nice, it's done in a small town, and the stars, the cast, they just walk around. They'll see you at a restaurant, they'll stop and talk with you, they'll take pictures,
So
you know,
neat.
with you. It's incredible. It's incredible.
They dance with you, don't they, Sally?
Oh yeah.
That's so neat.
Robert asked me to dance. We danced
Yeah.
at the time. My daughter.
Great. So who's number 3?
Well, those
Do
two.
those count? Okay, so that's
Gilmore
2
plus
and
you.
3. I thought you were putting them together and making them one person. Okay, very good. So I think this is a great way to close this, Sally. I could talk to you all day long, and I'm sure the girls could too. You have such an amazing story. We love you so much. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Carnivore Angel Healing on Instagram. That's pretty much where I do most of the carnivore stuff. I'm on Facebook too.
Okay.
Sally Donahoe Bowers. But I keep most of the carnivore stuff over here in Instagram,
Okay.
because you want to be able to reach the people that want to be reached.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Well, to contact Sally, we'll put your information in the show notes, and I hope everybody has a wonderful fat-fueled and protein-powered day. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button for more Butter Dish Gals. Sally, thank you so much for joining us.